afternoon, Toastmasters and guests. It is such an honor to be here. My mom and I have been here for the past couple days, and we just love Russia. And I'll be honest with you, I have not stopped eating since I've been here. Now I know how you stay warm in the winter. Vodka.
Oh yeah.
But actually, when I was young, I wanted to move to Russia because I wanted to be a ballerina. But by the time I was 18 years old, I stopped dancing because of injuries. And when I went to college, I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. But by the time I graduated, there weren't any jobs available. I was devastated each time I thought I failed. But looking back now, I see that everything I did was just part of the journey. I used my ballet experience to start a business that caters to dancers. And I used the skills I learned in broadcasting to reach one of the top levels in Toastmasters. What I have now exceeds anything I could have ever planned. Sometimes things don't always go our way, but oftentimes it can lead us into something even greater. I learned to let go of the things I cannot control, and I learned to flow with the current of my life. Looking back at any of my success, I learned 3 lessons. Go with the flow, always be an amateur, and just keep going. Let's start out by lesson number 1. Go with the flow. When I was young, I hated school. All I wanted to do was just get through the day so I can go to ballet class at night. One day, my math teacher handed me my math test with a red F for fail on the top of the paper. Josephine, please bring this back with your parents' signature on it. This is the end. My parents are going to murder me. I have never gotten an F before, even though my grades were already very low. It was so bad that my friends wanted to borrow my test so they can scare their parents. But that night, I went to my parents and then I quietly handed my paper, and I watched my mother turn into the devil right before my eyes. Josephine, why? Why will you not try? Mom, I do try. Are you talking back to me? Well, yeah, that's how communication works. My poor parents. They used to have such high hopes for me. When I was young, they just wanted me to be good at 3 things: math, science, and everything. Every parent wants their child to be first place. But now, my parents just didn't want me to be last place. Now, whenever I thought about school, it was so difficult. My parents didn't know what to do. They tried punishing me, they forced me to study, they threatened to take away all my ballet classes, but no matter what they did, my grades stayed the same. But that night, my parents made a decision. They decided that instead of trying to force me to do something I'm not good at, they decided to encourage me to do things I am good at. They signed me up for more ballet classes. They stopped fighting with me. They stopped trying to do it their way. Instead, they just went with the flow. Even though sometimes it felt like it was flowing downhill. My grades improved. Ballet gave me the confidence to do better in school. And eventually I got into college. Sometimes things don't always go our way. We try so hard to force things to go our way, but if you just go with the flow, we can end up someplace much better. Lesson number 2, be an amateur. When I first started my business, I had no idea what I was doing. But now, 5.5 years later, I still have no idea what I'm doing. I am the first person to admit that I am an amateur in business. But that's a good thing. Let me tell you why. Being an amateur helped me build my business faster because I was able to take all of the feedback that I was getting and apply it to my business. Every single great decision that I made in business was from a suggestion from a customer or a parent or a mentor. Being an amateur helped me take all of that feedback with grace and gratitude and apply that to business. But this also helped me reach third place in the World Championship as well. When I first started Toastmasters, I thought I was a pro. I said, well, I've been dancing my whole life on stage. How hard can talking on stage be? Turns out, pretty hard. Last year, I didn't even get past the club level. This year, I decided that I'm going to accept being an amateur and hire a coach. Now, if you've ever had a Russian ballet teacher, you will never be afraid of anything ever again. Until you get a Chinese speech coach. My coach's name is Mun, and if you ever meet him, he'll say, it's Mun, like Monday. And I was like, why would you make that association? Everyone hates Mondays. But after working with him for 6 months, I understood that association. Now, in Toastmasters, they teach you how to make evaluations. And they teach you to do the evaluations in the sandwich method. That's where you start out with a nice piece of bread. That's something that the speaker does well. Then you move on to the middle. That's something that the speaker can improve on. Then you end up with another piece of bread, which is something that the speaker does well. Mun hates bread. There is no bread. It's just something bad, and then something worse, and something even more bad. I was able to take all of that criticism with grace and gratitude because I admitted that I was an amateur and I needed his help. Now, because of this, I was able to become the best speaker that I could be on that stage that day. Your ability to take criticism is directly related to how fast you will grow in any area of your life. Now, because of this, even though I won third place in the World Championship, I'm still an amateur because there's always something to learn. Lesson number 3, just keep going. When I was on my high school dance team, we would travel all over the United States to compete in different dances. And one of the dances was called Barbie Girl. All of the dance team members, we would dress up as different Barbies, like Malibu Barbie or Business Barbie, and I was Hawaiian Barbie. This was our favorite dance of the year. So we were really excited when we entered this number into the biggest competition of the season. We were so excited because we knew we were going to win. That day, normally when I wear my costume, I would wear a skin-colored leotard underneath all of my costume. But that day, I forgot to bring my skin-colored leotard. But no big deal, right? I just put on the rest of my costume. Now, my costume for this dance was a coconut bra and a grass skirt, like a luau dancer. So I put on the rest of my costume and I stepped on stage. But I guess my costume wasn't made so well. In the middle of the dance, I felt the strap holding together my top start to unravel. I started to panic. Oh my gosh, how can this be the one day I forgot to bring my leotard and this is happening? I could not believe the timing. But on the outside, I just keep going. Then I start to move my arms and I feel the string unravel even further. I am entering into full-on panic mode. Oh my gosh, should I run off stage? Should I stay? What do I do? But on the outside, I just keep going. Then it happened. The string snapped and my whole top fell apart and I grabbed the top with one arm while still trying to dance with the other arm. And as I am panicking on the inside, I still continue to dance. And as soon as we finished the dance, I walked off stage and I am completely mortified. But more than that, I felt really bad for my teammates because this is what's called a wardrobe malfunction. And that is actually a docked point in the dance team competition world. That meant that our chances of placing in the finals was very low. But we went to the award ceremony anyway. They called third place, and it wasn't us, and no one was surprised. They called second place, and it wasn't us, and no one was surprised. Now we all just gave up and hoped for next year. But then they called first place. First place is Barbie Girl! We all looked at each other confused, and then we jumped up and screamed. We could not believe we won. In life and on stage, unexpected things happen all the time. The trick is to just keep going. These 3 lessons have helped me in every aspect of my life. It taught me to move like water. Take a look at a river. Water flows effortlessly around and over the rocks. To the stream, there are no obstacles because it does not resist anything in its path. Now, sometimes we try so hard to force things to go our way and to continue to want things to go our way in our path. But the best thing to do is to think about your flexibility instead of your ability, and to think about being fluid rather than forcing. And maybe the secret to success is to just go with the flow, to be an amateur, and to just keep going.